Hello everyone, I am Jairo, one of the teachers at Alianza Colombo Inglesa, and in today's lesson we're going to learn how to write the introduction of an essay. So first things first, what is an essay? It's pretty simple. An essay is just a composition where you provide your opinion and support it by giving some arguments and examples. Okay? In addition to this, we also have to keep in mind the structure of an essay before we start. So evidently, the first one is going to be the introduction, our topic for today's video. The second one, the body paragraphs. And finally, the conclusion. Of course, if we have an introduction, we need a conclusion. And in addition to this, there are some other components in each one of these parts of the essay that we will be discussing in later videos. So make sure that you stay tuned if you don't want to miss any of those. Let's continue with the task itself. Understanding the task. We need to understand how to deal with this if we want to write an effective introduction and, of course, an effective essay. Okay. So this is the task that we're going to have for today's example. And this is essentially also the structure or the composition of the task in any of your exams, like TOEFL or IELTS or PT, whatever you are planning to take. So the very first part in our task is here in blue, and it is what we call the statement. Right? So the statement is basically a situation that they propose. Okay, in this particular case, the situation is about the fact that internet makes information really accessible and in different parts of the world. And apart from that, it makes it available for free in the majority of the cases. Great. The next part is, well, here in red, and it is what we call the question. So the question is no other thing than the indicator on what we have to do with this statement. All right. Remember that here, this part may change depending on there are many different kinds of questions in the exams. So, for example, like advantages and disadvantages, like right here, or agree or disagree, or discuss 2 points of view. Okay, so despite the fact that the question may change, the structure of the introduction is still going to be exactly the same. So the approach, the way you deal with the task is a little bit different depending on the question, but the structure of the introduction is anyways going to be the same. Great. With that out of the way, let's finally dive into the introduction. Okay, so what is that? The introduction is, of course, the first part of the essay, okay, the first paragraph of our essay. As a result, the function of this paragraph is to present the topic in our essay in a very general way. Keep this always in mind. Introductions are very general, okay, and of course, it means that it is not like a long composition. As mentioned here in our slides, it is just between 2 to 4 sentences. Okay. Finally, and this is connected to the second point, we never discuss information in full detail in the introduction. Super, super important to bear in mind this information. Excellent. Let's now discuss the parts of the introduction. Great. So essentially, we have 3 main items in our introduction. The very first one, what we call the contextualization. The second one, the paraphrasing. And the final one, what we call the leading or thesis statement. Okay, so let's go into one by one. All right, we have the contextualization. So what is that? Well, the contextualization is basically a very short idea or a very general idea that gives the reader the topic that we're going to discuss in our essay. Okay, something to keep in mind here is that this contextualization has to be written based on the general topic of the statement. What do I mean by that? Simple. Here we have our statement, our original statement, and as you can see, it has a green word. Internet. This is what we call the general topic, okay? So as you can see, the word internet is understood as a general concept. It covers many things. We don't specify what kind of things, like if it is internet for entertainment, if it is internet for, well, different varieties of topics. No, we just focus on the fact that it is internet, the central and the general topic of our discussion. Okay, so this is what you need to find in the statement if you want when you want to write the contextualization. Great. When we want to write our contextualization, we can do it in 3 different forms, okay? The very first one, given the definition of the general topic. The second one, the importance, or by giving the background of this general topic, okay? So I propose here some examples to each one of them. However, the one that I actually prefer, the one that I personally recommended, that I recommend, is focusing on the background. It is usually easier to address the contextualization by giving some background. Okay, so this is the example for definition. This is the example for the importance, and this is the example for the background. Again, this is the one that I'm going to be using for my explanation. So as you can see, I'm basically talking about like the history, we could say, of the internet and how societies are more and more connected thanks to it. Excellent. So that is all regarding the contextualization. Oh, before I forget, the contextualization is not a mandatory element in our introduction. However, I highly recommend that you include it. First, because it can give you some words. Remember that in your essays, you have a minimum amount of words, so it's a good idea to include a contextualization. And second, because it is like a gentle way to introduce the real matter. Okay? Cool. Let's focus now on the second component, the paraphrasing. Excellent. The paraphrasing is basically saying the same thing, but using different words, okay? So this means that we can change as many words as we want, or we can change the order of the sentence or the information as many times as we want. But what we have to keep in mind is that the meaning or the intention of the message is preserved, okay? We can change the form of the message, but not the message itself. This is something that we necessarily have to bear in mind when we do the paraphrasing, okay? Excellent. When we are doing the paraphrasing, we have to do it based on the statement. We're going to see this in just a moment. All right. And a recommendation that I always give my students is that you have to paraphrase as much as possible. Okay, cool. So this is our original statement. Okay, the one in blue. So what we're going to do is transform it. So it says exactly the same thing, but using different words. Great. So this is the version that I created. All right, let's analyze it part by part. Okay, so the original statement says, the internet has made knowledge immediately available to people through computers and smartphones all around the world. Much of this knowledge is also free. Okay, let's see how I decided to paraphrase this. Okay, the first part says, by simply clicking a button, one can access information on just about any topic. Okay. So what I'm mentioning here is that thanks to technology, like in the case of computers and smartphones in the original statement, I can get as different information from different topics as presented there. Okay, this is the reference that we have. All right, and then I continue my idea by saying from academic to relevant. Again, I'm just completing my sentence by saying that it is knowledge from different types. Okay. Cool. I also mentioned not only instantly, okay, this is referring to the fact that knowledge makes knowledge immediately available, okay, and I finish my paraphrased version by saying, but also most of it without any charges, okay. So this is making reference to the final sentence in the original statement. Much of this knowledge is also free. So as you can see, I changed the words. Maybe I also changed the organization of the sentence. However, the meaning is exactly the same. The fact that we can access technology, that we can access information thanks to technology, and that we can do this almost immediately and in the majority of the cases without any extra cost. Okay, excellent. Let's continue to the very final part of our introduction. And this is the lead-in or the thesis statement. Okay, great. So the lead-in or the thesis statement is the sentence that indicates what will be discussed and how it will be discussed. Okay, as we saw previously, in this case, we're going to discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of this, of the fact that internet makes information very easy to access and in the majority of the cases with no cost. Okay, so we're going to focus on the advantages and the disadvantages of this. That's why I put here that it is based on the question. We always focus on the question to create our leading or our thesis statement. They are exactly the same concept. Okay, and again, remember to attach to the type of essay. Okay, cool. Great, so this is the question that we have right here. All right, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of this trend? So this is how I decided to create my leading. It says, this situation entails both benefits, such as huge and portable amounts of material, as well as drawbacks, like inaccurate data and little reliability due to technological failures. So, what we have here is that I mentioned that I'm going to discuss that this trend has advantages and disadvantages. And in addition to that, I also mentioned those advantages and those disadvantages very quickly. Okay, remember that in the introduction, we never discuss information in full detail. So I just mentioned them very, very roughly, just like the surface, scratching the surface of the information that I want to discuss in my essay. All right, so we have the three components of our introduction. So what's next? It's really simple. Just put them together, okay, to create the final product. And this is what we have. All right, we have the contextualization. Ever since the creation of the internet, societies have been more and more connected thanks to it. All right. That is the contextualization. The second part, the paraphrasing. By simply clicking a button, one can access information on just about any topic, from academic to irrelevant, not only instantly, but also most of it without any charges. All right? And finally, our leading or thesis statement. This situation entails both benefits, such as huge and portable amounts of material, as well as drawbacks, like inaccurate data and little reliability due to technological failures. And that would be it. That would be our contextualization, our introduction, including the contextualization, the paraphrasing, and the leading or thesis statement. So, if you follow this guide, I'm pretty sure that you're going to successfully manage to write a really decent introduction, and as a result, increment the score in your exam. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you follow us on our social media, which is going to be in the description down below. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay tuned for later videos related to the essay, and related to other topics like speaking or reading and, well, many things like that. And in addition, make sure that you check our website so that you can get some information on our courses if you feel interested in getting more and more knowledge regarding these topics and the preparation for your international exams. So this was Jairo. Thank you for joining our video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.